A single dad watched the hospital burn. Inside, a nurse and her little girl were trapped on the third floor. Everyone said it was too dangerous. The building would collapse any minute. But he made a choice that shocked everyone. He ran straight into the flames. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. A single dad risked his life for the nurse's little girl. What happened after shocked the city. The fire alarm screamed through the hospital corridors. Smoke filled the air, turning everything gray and dangerous. People ran in all directions, doctors shouting orders, patients crying for help. James stood in the parking lot with his daughter Emma, watching the chaos. They had just finished Emma's regular checkup when the fire started. They were safe now, outside in the fresh air. But inside that burning building, people were still trapped. James was a construction worker, a single dad who knew buildings and structures. He looked at the hospital and saw something the firefighters had not noticed yet. The east wing was about to collapse. And there were still people inside. "Daddy, look." Emma pointed at the third-floor window. "Someone is there." James squinted through the smoke. A woman stood at the window, holding a small child. She was screaming for help, but the noise of the fire and the crowd drowned out her voice. James recognized her immediately. It was Rachel, the nurse who had helped Emma during her checkups. The kind woman who always made Emma laugh, who gave her stickers and candy. And in her arms was her daughter, Mia, a 5-year-old girl with curly hair and a bright smile. They were trapped. The firefighters were on the other side of the building, fighting the main fire. Nobody had seen Rachel and Mia yet. Nobody was coming to save them. James looked at the building. The east wing was unstable. He could see the cracks forming in the walls. In minutes, maybe seconds, it would collapse. He had a choice to make. Stay safe with Emma, or risk everything to save Rachel and Mia. "Daddy, we have to help them," Emma cried. James knelt down and held Emma's shoulders. "Baby, I need you to stay here with Mrs. Patterson." He pointed to their elderly neighbor who was also in the crowd. "Do not move from this spot. Do you understand? What are you going to do?" Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I am going to help Miss Rachel and Mia," James said. "I will be back soon. I promise." "No, Daddy. It is too dangerous." James hugged his daughter tight. "I have to, baby. I have to try." Before Emma could stop him, James ran toward the burning building. "Sir! Stop! You cannot go in there." A security guard tried to grab him, but James was faster. He covered his face with his wet jacket and pushed through the smoke. The heat was intense, burning his skin even through his clothes. The smoke made his eyes water and his lungs scream for air. But he kept moving. James knew this hospital well. He had visited it countless times with Emma. He knew the layout, the stairs, the corridors. He used that knowledge now, moving through the burning building like a man possessed. Second floor. The smoke was thicker here. James could barely see 2 feet ahead. His lungs burned with every breath. Third floor. The heat was unbearable. The walls were cracking, pieces of ceiling falling around him. The building groaned like a dying animal. He found the east wing. The door was jammed. James kicked it once, twice, 3 times. It flew open. "Rachel," he shouted. "Rachel, where are you?" "Here. We are here." Her voice came from down the hall. James ran toward the sound. He found them in a small office, trapped behind a collapsed doorway. Rachel was on the floor, holding Mia close. Blood ran down Rachel's face from a cut on her forehead. Mia was crying, terrified. "James. Oh, thank God." Rachel sobbed. The door collapsed. We cannot get out. The fire is spreading. We are going to die here. No, you are not, James said firmly. He grabbed the wooden beam blocking the door and pulled with all his strength. His muscles screamed in pain. The beam did not move. Behind him, James heard a terrible cracking sound. He turned and saw the ceiling starting to give way. They had seconds. James pulled harder. His hands bled. His back felt like it was breaking. But the beam shifted, just a little. Come on, he shouted at himself. Come on. With one final pull, the beam moved enough to create a small opening. Rachel, pass Mia through. James ordered. Rachel pushed Mia toward the opening. The little girl was too scared to move. Mia, sweetheart, you have to trust me, James said gently. I am going to get you out of here. I promise. Mia looked at James with terrified eyes, then nodded. She squeezed through the opening. James caught her and held her tight. Now you, Rachel. James reached his hand through. Rachel tried to squeeze through, but she was stuck. The opening was too small. I cannot fit, she cried. James, take Mia and go. Save my daughter. I am not leaving you. James pulled the beam again. It moved another inch. The ceiling cracked louder. Chunks of concrete began falling. James, please. Rachel begged. Save Mia. Go now. James looked at Mia in his arms, then at Rachel trapped behind the door. His mind raced. He could save Mia and run. That would be the smart choice. The safe choice. But he thought about Emma, waiting outside. He thought about what she would think if he left someone behind. He thought about the kind of man he wanted to be, the kind of father he wanted to be. Hold on. James handed Mia to Rachel through the opening. Hold your daughter. Do not let go. What are you doing? Rachel asked. James stepped back. Then he ran at the door with his full body weight. He hit it like a battering ram. Pain exploded through his shoulder. The beam shifted more. He did it again. And again. Each impact sent waves of agony through his body. But the opening grew larger. Now. Go now. James grabbed Rachel's arm and pulled her through the opening. She came free, falling into his arms with Mia. Just as they cleared the doorway, the ceiling collapsed behind them. Concrete and fire filled the space where Rachel had been trapped. Run! James shouted. They ran through the smoke and fire. James led the way, holding Mia against his chest, while Rachel followed close behind. The building shook violently. Walls crumbled. The floor beneath them cracked. They reached the stairwell. James could see the exit below. They were going to make it. Then the floor gave way. James felt himself falling. In that split second, he made a decision. He threw Mia toward Rachel, who caught her. Then James fell through the broken floor into the darkness below. He hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his entire body. He tried to move but could not. Something was wrong with his leg. He looked down and saw it was twisted at an unnatural angle, trapped under a fallen beam. Above him, Rachel screamed. James! James, no! Go! James shouted up at her. Get Mia out. Go! I am not leaving you. You have to. The building is collapsing. Save your daughter. Go! Rachel stood frozen, torn between saving her daughter and saving the man who risked everything for them. Mia made the decision for her. The little girl grabbed her mother's hand and pulled. Mama, please. We have to go. Rachel looked at James one last time. Tears streamed down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for my daughter's life. Then she ran, carrying Mia toward safety. James lay in the darkness, trapped and alone. The fire was getting closer. The smoke was getting thicker. He could not breathe properly. He thought about Emma. His beautiful daughter, waiting outside. Would he ever see her again? Would he ever hold her, hear her laugh, watch her grow up? He thought about the promise he made to her. I will be back soon. I promise. He had to keep that promise. James grabbed the beam on his leg and tried to lift it. It did not move. He tried again, pulling with every ounce of strength left in his body. The pain was unbearable. But the beam shifted slightly. Outside, Emma watched the burning building with tears streaming down her face. Mrs. Patterson held her, trying to comfort her. But Emma could not be comforted. Her daddy was inside that building. Her daddy might not come back. Then she saw Rachel and Mia emerge from the building. Firefighters rushed to help them. Rachel was coughing badly, covered in soot and blood. But Mia was safe, crying in her mother's arms. Where is my daddy? Emma broke free from Mrs. Patterson and ran to Rachel. Where is he? Rachel looked at Emma, and fresh tears filled her eyes. He saved us. He got us out. But he fell. He is trapped inside. No. Emma screamed. No. Daddy. The firefighters tried to go back inside, but the chief stopped them. The building is too unstable. It is going to collapse any second. We cannot send anyone in. My daddy is in there. Emma cried. You have to save him. I am sorry, sweetheart. It is too dangerous. Emma fell to her knees, sobbing. This could not be happening. Her daddy could not die. He was all she had. He was her whole world. Rachel knelt beside Emma and held her. Your father is the bravest man I have ever met. He risked his life for my daughter. For us. He is my hero, Emma whispered. Please, God, please bring him back. The crowd watched in silence as the building burned. Everyone knew that anyone still inside was probably dead. Then, through the smoke, a figure emerged. It was James. He was dragging himself across the ground, his leg twisted, his face black with soot. But he was alive. Daddy! Emma screamed and ran to him. Firefighters rushed forward to help. They carried James away from the building just as the east wing collapsed completely, sending up a huge cloud of dust and debris. James lay on a stretcher, paramedics working on him frantically. Emma held his hand, crying and laughing at the same time. You came back, she sobbed. You came back. James squeezed her hand weakly. I promised, baby. I always keep my promises. Rachel approached with Mia. The little girl was holding her mother's hand tightly, still scared but safe. James, Rachel said, her voice shaking. You saved our lives. You risked everything for us. How can I ever thank you? James managed a small smile. You helped my daughter when she needed it. You showed us kindness. I just returned the favor. This was more than a favor, Rachel said. You almost died. You are a hero. I am just a dad, James said. Just a guy who could not stand by and watch a child in danger. The paramedics loaded James into the ambulance. His injuries were serious. Broken leg, burns, smoke inhalation, internal injuries. He would need surgery and months of recovery. As the ambulance drove away, Emma beside him, James closed his eyes. The pain was overwhelming, but he felt peace. He had done the right thing. He had saved 2 lives. And he had shown his daughter what it meant to be brave, to be selfless, to be human. The story spread through the city like wildfire. Single dad risks life to save nurse and child from burning hospital. The news channels played it constantly. Newspapers put James's face on the front page. But James did not care about fame. He cared about healing so he could return to his daughter. The surgery went well, but the recovery was long and painful. James could not work for months. Money became tight. The medical bills piled up. Life became a struggle again. Then Rachel did something incredible. She started a fundraiser for James. She told the whole story, how he had saved her and Mia, how he had risked his life for strangers, how he was now struggling to pay his bills and support his daughter. The city responded with overwhelming generosity. Donations poured in from everywhere. People who had never met James sent money, sent cards, sent prayers. Within a week, the fundraiser had raised over $300,000. More than enough to cover James's medical bills and support his family during recovery. But the help did not stop there. A construction company owner who heard the story offered James a management position. Better pay, better hours, less physical work. Perfect for a man recovering from serious injuries. The hospital where Rachel worked gave James a special award for heroism. They also covered all his medical expenses. The mayor of the city presented James with a medal of bravery in a special ceremony. But through it all, James remained humble. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a father who did what any decent person would do. 6 months after the fire, James was finally able to walk without crutches. His leg had healed, though it still hurt on cold days. The scars on his body would never fully fade. But he was alive. Emma threw him a "welcome back" party. All her friends came. Rachel and Mia came too. Mia ran to James and hugged his legs. "Thank you for saving me and my mama," she said in her small voice. James picked her up gently. "You are very welcome, little one. I am glad you are safe." Rachel approached, her eyes wet with emotion. "James, I do not know how to repay what you did for us." "You already did," James said, pointing to Emma playing with Mia. "You helped my daughter. You showed us kindness. That is enough." "No," Rachel said firmly. "It is not enough. You gave us our lives back. You gave Mia a future. You gave me my daughter. There is no repayment for that." She handed James an envelope. "This is from me. Not from the fundraiser. From me personally." James opened it. Inside was a check for $50,000. "Rachel, I cannot accept this," James said immediately. "Yes, you can. I am a single mother, just like you are a single father. I know how hard it is. I know the struggles, the bills, the sleepless nights worrying about money. Use this to give Emma the life she deserves. Use it for her education, her future, her dreams." James felt tears fill his eyes. "You are too kind." "No," Rachel said. "You are too brave." They hugged, two single parents who understood each other's struggles, who had been through fire together, literally and figuratively. That night, after the party ended and Emma was asleep, James sat on his porch. He looked up at the stars and thought about his journey. He had been a struggling single dad, barely making ends meet, working 2 jobs, fighting to give his daughter a decent life. Then one day, he made a choice. A dangerous, crazy choice. He ran into a burning building to save people he barely knew. He almost died. He could have left Emma an orphan. It was reckless and foolish. But it was also right. James realized something important that night. Life was not about playing it safe. It was not about protecting yourself at all costs. It was about doing the right thing, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous, even when it cost you everything. He had shown Emma what true bravery looked like. Not the absence of fear, but acting despite fear. Not being invincible, but being willing to sacrifice for others. Emma would remember that lesson for the rest of her life. A year passed. James's new job was going well. He had been promoted twice. Money was no longer a constant worry. Emma was thriving in school, making good grades, making friends, being happy. Rachel and Mia became regular parts of their lives. The two girls became best friends. Rachel and James developed a deep friendship built on respect, gratitude, and understanding. One day, Rachel invited James and Emma to Mia's 6th birthday party. It was at a park, full of decorations, cake, games, and laughter. As James watched the two girls play together, Rachel sat beside him. "Can you believe it has been a year?" she asked. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday," James said. "Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago." "James, I need to tell you something," Rachel said seriously. James turned to look at her. "What is it?" "That day in the fire, when you came back for me, when you refused to leave me behind, you did not just save my life. You saved me in other ways too." "What do you mean?" Rachel took a deep breath. "I was in a very dark place before the fire. Mia's father left us when she was a baby. I was alone, struggling, depressed. Some days I wondered if it was worth it, if I could keep going. I was drowning in sadness." James listened quietly. "But then you showed me something," Rachel continued. "You showed me that there is still goodness in the world. You showed me that people still care, that strangers still help each other, that love and sacrifice still exist. You gave me hope again." She looked at James with tears in her eyes. "You did not just save my body from that fire. You saved my soul from drowning in darkness. You saved me in every way a person can be saved." James did not know what to say. He just took Rachel's hand and squeezed it gently. "Thank you," Rachel whispered. "Thank you for reminding me that life is worth living. Thank you for showing Mia what a real hero looks like. Thank you for being you." "You would have done the same for me," James said. "Maybe," Rachel said. "But you did it first. And that makes all the difference." They sat in comfortable silence, watching their daughters play. Two single parents who had found friendship in the ashes of tragedy. Two people who understood the value of life because they had almost lost it. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful colors, Mia and Emma ran over to them. "Daddy, can Mia come to our house tomorrow?" Emma asked. "Of course, baby." "Mama, can Mr. James teach me how to build things like he builds?" Mia asked Rachel. Rachel smiled. "If Mr. James does not mind." "I would love to," James said, ruffling Mia's curly hair. The two girls cheered and ran back to play. Rachel looked at James. "You are good with her. You are good with both of them." "They are good kids," James said. "They make it easy." "No," Rachel said. "You make it look easy. But I know it is not. Being a single parent is the hardest job in the world." "You do it pretty well yourself," James replied. They smiled at each other, two warriors who had fought similar battles, who understood each other's struggles without needing to explain. As the party ended and people began to leave, Rachel pulled James aside one more time. "James, I know we are just friends. I know we both have complicated lives, complicated pasts. But I want you to know something." "What?" "You have made my life better. You and Emma both. Having you in our lives, it has brought light back into my world. Mia looks up to you like a father figure. And I." She paused, searching for words. "I admire you more than anyone I have ever met." James felt his heart warm. "Rachel, you and Mia have made our lives better too. Emma has a best friend. I have someone who understands my struggles. We are grateful for you. Maybe," Rachel said carefully, "maybe one day, when we are both ready, maybe we could be more than friends. Maybe our two broken families could become one whole family." James looked at her, surprised. He had not expected this. I am not asking for anything now, Rachel added quickly. I am just saying, maybe one day. When the time is right, that if you feel the same way. James thought about it. Rachel was kind, intelligent, beautiful, and strong. She understood his life because she lived it too. Emma loved Mia, and Mia loved Emma. They fit together naturally. Maybe one day, James said softly. When we are both ready. I would like that. Rachel smiled, a genuine smile full of hope and happiness. 2 years later, James and Rachel got married in a small ceremony. Emma and Mia were flower girls, walking down the aisle together, giggling and holding hands. It was not a grand wedding. Just close friends and family. But it was perfect. As James and Rachel exchanged vows, they both remembered that terrible day in the fire. The day that changed everything, the day that brought them together. James had risked his life for Rachel's little girl. And in return, Rachel had given him a new family, a new beginning, a new chance at happiness. The city had been shocked by their story from the beginning. A single dad running into a burning building to save a nurse and her child. It was the kind of thing you see in movies, not real life. But it happened. And it led to something beautiful. After the wedding, at the reception, Rachel gave a speech. 2 years ago, I thought my life was over. I was trapped in a burning building with my daughter, waiting to die. Then a man I barely knew came out of nowhere. He risked his life for us. He almost died saving us. She looked at James with tears in her eyes. James showed me what true bravery looks like. What true love looks like. Not romantic love, not yet. But human love, the kind of love that sees someone in need and helps without thinking about the cost. He did not save me because he loved me. He saved me because it was right. And that is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever done for me. So today, I marry my hero. The man who gave me back my life, my daughter, my hope, my future. And I promise to spend the rest of my life showing him the same love, the same sacrifice, the same devotion he showed me that day. There was not a dry eye in the room. James stood and gave his own speech. I am not a hero. I just did what anyone should do. But what Rachel does not know is that she saved me too. Not from a fire, but from a life of loneliness. She and Mia filled the empty spaces in our lives. They made our house a home. They made our family complete. He looked at Emma and Mia, sitting together at the front table. These two girls are the reason we do everything. We work hard for them. We sacrifice for them. We live for them. And now, we get to do it together. James raised his glass. To family.to love.to secondchances.to the day that changed everything. Everyone raised their glasses. To the day that changed everything. The celebration continued late into the night. There was dancing, laughter, joy, and hope. Emma and Mia were inseparable, two sisters in everything but blood. James and Rachel were partners, equals, two people who understood each other's pain and chose to heal together. They were a family now. Not perfect, but real. Not without struggles, but full of love. As the night ended, James stood outside under the stars. Rachel joined him, still in her wedding dress. What are you thinking about? She asked. About how one choice changed everything, James said. If I had not run into that building, we would not be here. Do you regret it? All the pain, the injuries, the struggle? James looked at his wife and smiled. Not for a second. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Rachel leaned against him. My hero. Our hero, James corrected, looking through the window at Emma and Mia sleeping on the couch, still in their flower girl dresses. I did it for them. For all of us. They stood together in comfortable silence, two survivors who had found each other in the ashes, who had built something beautiful from tragedy. The city never forgot their story. Years later, people still talked about the single dad who risked his life for a nurse's little girl. They talked about the heroism, the bravery, the sacrifice. But James and Rachel knew the real story. It was not just about one day of heroism. It was about every day after. It was about showing up, working hard, loving deeply, and never giving up on each other. It was about two broken families finding wholeness together. It was about love in its purest form. And it was about the simple truth that sometimes, the greatest act of love is being willing to sacrifice everything for someone else. James had risked his life for Rachel's little girl. And in return, he gained a family, a partner, a future, and a love that would last forever. That was the real miracle. Not the rescue itself, but what came after. The healing, the growing, the building of something new from the ruins of their old lives. Emma and Mia grew up as sisters. They went to the same schools, had the same friends, shared secrets and dreams. James and Rachel grew old together, partners in every sense of the word. And whenever anyone asked them how they met, they would smile and say, "We met in fire, and we built a life from the ashes." It was a story that shocked the city. But more than that, it was a story that gave people hope. It reminded them that heroes exist. That good people still do good things. That love still conquers all. And it all started with one single dad who made a choice. A choice to run toward danger instead of away from it. A choice to save a life instead of protecting his own. A choice to be the kind of person his daughter could be proud of. That choice changed everything. And in the end, it was worth every scar, every moment of pain, every risk. Because some things in life are worth everything. Some people are worth dying for. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, they are also worth living for. James had found his worth in that burning building. He had found his purpose in saving Rachel and Mia. And he had found his future in the family they built together. The single dad who risked his life for the nurse's little girl became the husband who loved them all forever. And that was the greatest happy ending anyone could ask for. 10 years passed like a beautiful dream. Emma and Mia were now teenagers, 18 and 16 years old. They had grown into strong, kind young women who carried the lessons of that fateful day in their hearts. Emma was preparing to go to medical school. She wanted to become a doctor, inspired by the people who had saved her father's life after the fire. Every time someone asked her why she chose medicine, she would tell them about her father's bravery, about how he taught her that one person can make a difference. Mia wanted to become a firefighter. She remembered the terror of being trapped in that burning building, and she wanted to be the person who saved others from that fear. Her mother worried, but James supported her dream completely. "Let her be brave," James told Rachel. "Let her save lives like we were saved." On the 10th anniversary of the fire, the city held a special ceremony. They built a memorial at the site where the old hospital once stood. On it were the names of everyone who had been in the building that day, and a special plaque dedicated to James. In memory of true heroism. One man's courage saved 2 lives and inspired a city. May we all find the strength to run toward danger when others need us. James stood before the memorial with his family. Emma held his left hand, Mia held his right. Rachel stood beside him, her arm around his waist. "Daddy," Emma said softly. "Do you remember what you told me that day? Before you ran into the fire?" "I said I would be back soon," James replied. "I promised." "And you kept that promise," Emma said, tears in her eyes. "You always keep your promises." Mia looked up at James. "You saved my life. You gave me a chance to grow up, to have dreams, to have a future. How do I ever repay that?" James knelt down to look Mia in the eyes, even though she was almost as tall as him now. "You repay it by living fully. By being kind, by helping others when they need it. By being the person I knew you could become." He stood and looked at both girls. "You two are my greatest pride. Not because of what I did, but because of who you have become. You are strong, compassionate, brave young women. That is my reward. That is all I ever wanted. The ceremony ended, but the family stayed longer. They stood together, four people who had become one family through fire and faith and love. Rachel leaned her head on James's shoulder. Do you ever think about that day? About how different things could have been? Every day, James admitted. I think about how I almost lost everything. How I almost left Emma alone. How close we came to tragedy. But we did not, Rachel said. We survived. We found each other. We built this beautiful life. James looked at his family, his wife, his daughters, his whole world. I would do it all again. Every painful step, because it led me here. To this moment. To. As the sun set behind them, casting long shadows across the memorial, James felt complete peace. He had risked everything for a stranger's child, and in return, he had gained everything that mattered. He had gained a family. He had gained love. He had gained a purpose. But most importantly, he had shown his daughter, and the whole city, that heroism is not about being fearless. It is about being afraid and acting anyway. It is about seeing someone in need and choosing to help, no matter the cost. That lesson would live on long after James was gone. It would live in Emma's work as a doctor. It would live in Mia's career as a firefighter. It would live in every person who heard their story and decided to be a little braver, a little kinder, a little more willing to sacrifice for others. The single dad who risked his life for the nurse's little girl had created a legacy of love and courage that would echo through generations. And that was the true miracle of it all.